Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. We have another episode with the lovely Jacki. Who's one of my favorite people.
Yes.
I guess our favorite people.
I am here.
Yes.
Did you forget I was here?
But my favorite person. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, so we're still drinking the same tea.
No, not the same tea.
I got another
refill.
I got another cup. So grab something yummy to drink and let's get started. Okay, so Jacki, It's not a bookish question, but how do you know us?
Oh, I love this question. I love this question because
You could start with me because it was me first.
it was you first. It was Rachel first. So we actually met first through both of our kids being in theater and Seussical, the musical together. And Wyatt was the cutest mayor of the town.
Yes.
And so I remember I really liked you a lot because I felt like we just instantly clicked. Like we just started talking, waiting to pick up our kids or something. And you were easy to talk to, which is still my favorite thing about you. Anybody can open up and talk to Rachel. So
It's true.
But embarrassingly, you would think because you made that great impression on me that I would have remembered your name. I probably remember a lot of other things about you, but so fast forward, I don't know how much longer it might have been.
It was at least a year.
Yes, about a year later when you came to visit our homeschool co-op. And I was introducing her to my friends at the co-op and I was calling her Jennifer or Jessica or something like that. And she was so sweet and didn't say anything until I was done. And she was like, my name is Rachel. And so I was like, oh, great. So anyway, that was quite embarrassing for me, but now I will never forget her name. So, and then it was actually through Rachel that I met Raven. Mm-hmm. And this is a fun story too, because Rachel kept talking about her friend that she read books with. And I was like, who is this friend? I must meet her if she likes to read. And she would always talk about this book friend. And so it was when you had moved to Louisiana and it was during COVID. We decided to celebrate your birthday on Zoom.
Oh, yes.
And we all got on Zoom and we were all in different, different windows on the screen.
Like Brady Bunch.
It was like the Brady Bunch.
It was.
And I remember exactly where Raven was on the screen because I was like,
stalker.
That's the person. That's the bookish friend.
Oh, I should have put in the name thing. I should have put the bookish friend.
You should have. Yes. So anyway, and then I think through that, or that's when we first kind of were introduced. And then we decided to read a book together over Zoom through COVID. And then what was that book? I know that we read multiple, but I'm trying to remember the first one.
Awakening Wonder or Searching for Certainty?
I think it was Awakening Wonder. It was
a Sally Clarkson.
It was a Sally Clarkson book. We love Sally. Sally, if you're listening, call us. We want you on the podcast. So anyway, so that's how we met. And then now we've all been able to read books together and hang out together. And I joke around, but I can't say enough how much these ladies read and how they're just such wonderful examples and an inspiration to me of reading and just losing yourself in books and just taking yourself to other places and learning so much. So I really am following in y'all's footsteps, I feel like, and trying to keep up. Y'all are the master Jedis.
We are the master Jedis.
Yes. And I am your...
Oh my goodness.
What is it?
Padawan?
Yes, I'm your young Padawan.
So I actually have a fun story though, because I remember Jacki back before that. So if you're in any type of homeschool community, you always hear about people or their names, not in a bad way. And so people, and it was a Mom Heart conference and you got the spare ticket because my friend sold the spare ticket or gave the spare ticket. Yes. I don't know. Yes. And so she told me who it was and I was like, oh, okay. But your last name stuck out to me. So obviously. Yes. So then while we're walking around Mom Heart, I was the stalker and who is this Rextasha lady, and I saw your name tag, but I was too scared to like come and say anything.
How fun! I wish
But even more. Do you want me to leave? No, but even after that, though, I would always see you like in Target or in. It's true.
I remember that job.
Do you remember?
Yes, I remember.
Do you remember you were in line with your mom and the kids?
That's right. And we ran into each other in Target.
Yes, but you didn't know who I was.
I'm so sorry.
She didn't know who I was.
And I was like, oh, and I think I went home to Kevin and I said, I finally met Jacki Rextasha.
Please don't.
Isn't that funny?
That is funny.
It's silly now.
Part of it's funny. The part that's not funny is I didn't remember you. Like I didn't remember Rachel's name. And this leads to another story, how Raven, like for the first multiple times that I was with my husband and we ran into you in whatever environment, I would constantly reintroduce my husband to Raven.
Wait, you do that to everyone.
And we do.
Yes,
you do.
You do that to everyone.
Yeah. And we just play along.
You know what it is? It is my, well, I would like to say it is my desire for everyone to feel included. And so I'm just like, okay, let me make sure everybody knows everyone. But I think it's actually a defense mechanism of my awkwardness. It's like, what do I say here? Oh, here, do you know? I kind of push them in front of me. Have I ever introduced you to my husband? You should talk to him.
I love it though. So we just go through the motions. Hi, Richard.
I know. So everybody needs an awkward friend, and I fulfill that role. So anyway.
Well, we're going to talk about Christmas picture books.
Yes. So fun.
I feel like we also need to probably have a chatty episode at some point. But anyways, we're going to talk about Christmas picture books.
Yes.
That Jacki has brought to share with us. So,
yes.
What do you got?
So, how much time do you have? I did pare down my stacks a lot, but I feel like each one of like I mentioned in the last episode, my kids are older now. And so these books are, even though we read them when they were younger, they still love them. But each one now has like a story with it, right? And so they're super sweet. So I want to share with you, like I'll start with maybe some younger kids up through, older kid picture books. But I will tell you, picture books are for everyone.
Yes.
So when I say this, please know that really do not limit yourself with an age. Now, some of them I will say, like if they're only for, older audiences, but I think the majority of these are great for the whole family. So the first one is Mortimer's Christmas Manger. And this is a sweet story about a mouse who wants a house. I'm not meaning to rhyme. And he ends up finding the nativity and tries to move in. And it's a really sweet way to tell the Christmas story to kids. And my sister-in-law gave me this book when my daughter was born. And that's another great plug. I was just going to say, it's such a great gift to give new moms books. And so, that, it didn't mean a whole lot to me then. I mean, I was grateful that she gave it to me, but now it's become such a treasured book and we love it. And so every time that we read it, we always think of my sister-in-law. So thank you, Paula, if you're listening. So that's a really sweet one. And I don't want to give it all away, but my mom reads this book every year when she comes to my house, and she can't read it without crying. She loves it. I know, it's a really sweet book because you'll have to learn because Mortimer learns a lesson in it. So, okay, my second one is Mr. Willoughby's Christmas Tree.
And this one is one of my favorites.
Yes. So you will notice that a good bit of my books are definitely have a Christian theme, but some of them are just really sweet books about what Christmas is all about. And that's about giving and being generous to others. And so Mr. Willoughby's Christmas Tree is about a tree that's too big to fit in his house. And so he chops off the top and decides to discard it, throw it away, and then it ends up someone unlikely grabs it, sees it and grabs it, and then it becomes their tree and it's too tall for their space. And so this tree keeps getting chopped down and it keeps getting given to to someone else. And so it's just a really sweet example of how what we might discard and think, right, is not worthy, can be somebody else's prized possession.
Yeah.
So it's a really sweet book.
I love it.
Yes. And my son, this was my son's favorite. So, and then I want to introduce you to Humphrey. Humphrey is a camel. And if you could see the cover of this book that I'm telling you about, the artist, it's Carol Heyer. And Humphrey, these pictures are, well, they are beautiful, but but Humphrey is like, it's also pretty hilarious how she has illustrated him. So this is a story of Humphrey is one of the camels that takes the wise men to go see Jesus. And he's kind of a prideful, grumpy camel that complains a lot, and he doesn't really want to go on the journey. And so it's a really funny book. Your kids will love all the pictures. And then it's one at the end, you're really surprised at how he learns the lesson, because obviously he goes to visit Jesus. And Humphrey is changed, just like all of us are when we meet Jesus. And so that's that one, I would say, is a really fun one if you have boys too. They love, because he spits, the camel spits, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so how many of y'all love Bear? Karma Wilson and Jane Chapman is the illustrator. So Bear has so many great books, but this one is Bear Stays Up for Christmas. So my husband, so we kind of have a tradition that where my husband, he loves Bear, and he kind of looks like Bear. You know, if you were to meet Richard, he is a big old bear. But he loves reading this book to the kids. But this one is so sweet because Bear, you know, bears go to sleep during Christmas and they hibernate. And so this is a story about how Bear tells his friends, I'm going to stay up for Christmas. I'm going to make it. I'm not going to go to sleep. And he tries really, really hard to stay awake. Have y'all read this one?
I think so.
Yeah. And so, but right as, you know, it's about time for Christmas to arrive, he can't make it and he ends up falling asleep. And it's just a really sweet story because he ends up, while he's asleep, all his friends end up making him these special gifts.
Oh.
And then he actually wakes up before they do. And then he sees that they've, you know, are going to surprise him. And so he ends up making them all of these special gifts too. So it's really sweet. It's a sweet one for little ones. They'll love it. But I can't pick my favorite out of that stack. That one's hard.
That's a good stack.
Yes. So now I want to share some kind of older kid picture books. But again, these are great ones for the whole family. So this one is really special because you can buy this one online. It's called Marjorie's Christmas Shop. But this one was written by the head of the school that I used to teach at.
Oh.
And it was illustrated by one of my good friends, Ashley Good, who, look at these illustrations. They're beautiful. But this is, it's actually a book that was written back in 1918, and they adapted it. And so this is a newer version, but it's a story about Marjorie. Her dad he's away at the war. So I would assume, Rachel, 1918, what war is that?
The first one.
Yes.
World War I.
World War I. Okay. And so because her dad's away and they don't have much money, Marjorie realizes that she's not going to have a Christmas, and her brothers and sisters are not either. And so she decides to pass the time and to not be so sad. She has an idea to set up in her living room Marjorie's shop for Christmas service. And she offers her service to people who need help. And she ends up making money and is able to surprise her mom and her siblings with with Christmas by the end, and then also her dad comes home. So it's a really sweet. So if you are a family that has anyone in the service, or if you have grandparents that come to visit that were involved in the war or service, this would be a sweet one to share with the family. And the pictures are beautiful.
That one looked like it had a lot of words, though. Like that's a
Yes,
longer,
it
yes. So
is.
not like
Yeah.
little kids.
No, I would say it's, yeah. That's what I would lump it with upper elementary.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yes. And I think, or you could read it
In
over
parts,
multiple
yeah,
nights.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, this next one is called Why Christmas Trees Aren't Perfect by Richard Schneider. Schneider. Okay. If you have a kid who is a perfectionist, or if you are a mom or dad who might be a perfectionist, this is a great book for you. Have y'all read this one yet?
No.
Okay. This one is a story about a queen who every year on Christmas Eve, she goes out into the forest near the castle and looks for the most perfect tree. And so this is a story about a tree who is out in the forest, who is hoping and wishing and trying his best to be the most perfect tree. And so the queen will choose him. But along the way of the book, he begins to see that there's animals in the forest who need shelter. And so he ends up bending a branch low to protect a bunny rabbit, and a branch breaks, or he ends up providing a nest for birds. And there's just kind of all these little ways that this tree ends up deciding to serve someone else. And so by the end of the book, the tree does not look on the outside perfect, but he has basically been a home for all of these animals throughout the winter. And he's learned how to, that brings happiness and joy. And so it's a really great, sweet story. And then by the end, it's neat because the queen ends up noticing and chooses him as the tree. So it's a really sweet book. So see, I'm making y'all want to read all these.
You are.
Okay. Silver Packages is another good one. This one, my sweet friend Ashley Kading from Dallas. I'm like, Ashley, you better listen. She actually shared this book with me. This is an Appalachian Christmas story, and it's based on a true story about it was a tradition that there was this train that would go through the town, and they would throw presents off of the train for the poor children in the community. Mm-hmm. And so it's about a little boy who dreams of being able to grow up one day and be the person who does that. And it actually doesn't quite happen the way that he expects, but he ends up being involved and getting to be a part of it. And I don't want to say too much because it'll give it away, but if you want to read about a different way that people celebrate Christmas, this is a really sweet book.
The illustrations are really beautiful.
They are. I read this one last year to my class, and they loved it so much. It's funny because I think about, and they were 5th and 6th graders, and I think, oh, they might be too old, but they still loved it. So this one, I haven't read it in a while, but I remember loving it. Holly and Ivy. Mm-hmm. This is a great picture book too. Just all of these are about stories about just ways that people have helped someone else. So it's about a little girl who's an orphan, and she wants to be adopted for Christmas. And she ends up, and there's a doll in a window at the toy store, and the doll's only wish is to have a home for Christmas. And so they discover each other. And meanwhile, there's a couple in the town that is grieving and wanting to have a child. And so you can imagine how it ends, but it's a really sweet book, but lots of words in this one. This is one that I think we read over, a few days, but such great books. So, okay, those are picture books. And then I do have a few chapter books that are great family read alouds. I mean, the classic, The Best Christmas Pageant Ever by Barbara Robinson. That one is awesome. I will say, make sure there's some language in it. There's some things in it that, you want to maybe read it first, mom and dad, to make sure before you share it with your kids. But my kids found this book hilarious.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
But they also were shocked too. They were like, what? I can't believe that they would do that. And so it's a great story. So that one's a classic. And I forgot to share with y'all one more picture book. Have y'all read The Miracle of Jonathan Toomey?
Yes, we have that one.
Okay.
That's a beautiful one too.
That is a great book. Yes. We love that book too. So that one, I just trust us. That's another great story about, if I remember correctly, there's a man in the village who has lost his wife, and he's a carver or a
carpenter.
A carpenter. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And so ends up deciding to, teach. Yes, I don't want to give it away.
Yeah.
You gotta read it. It's good.
It's a good
Okay. Okay, the last one. No, I got two more. Okay, The Family Under the Bridge. This one by Natalie Carlson is a sweet story. And then what is this? What's the Silver Seal?
Let me see.
It has the Newbery Honor. Yeah, it got a Newbery Honor.
Yeah.
This one is...
That's a really sweet book. It's been a few years since we've read it, but I just remember it was very sweet.
Yes. And the illustrations are by Garth Williams. He's the one who did Charlotte's Web and Trumpet
Little
of the
House on the
Swan.
Prairie.
And yes, so definitely, so you'll enjoy the pictures. But this is a sweet book about a man who lives under the bridge. He's homeless and he's kind of set in his ways, and he encounters some young children who also are without a home for Christmas. And so he decides to take them under his wing and to find them a home for Christmas. So that one is really sweet. And it's an easy, this would be a great book even for your elementary age.
Yeah, just a hand to them.
Yeah, for them to read on their own.
It's really good.
Okay, so my last one, I saved the best for last, because on the last episode, you asked me what's my favorite book of all time. And I said Little Women. And then I kind of was like, well, maybe this one is my favorite book of all time. So Treasures of the Snow by Patricia St. John.
That's a good one too.
It starts at Christmas time. And I think by the end of the book, you're kind of back to Christmas or towards the end of the book. But it's not really a Christmas story per se, but it is a great book to read in the winter time. And I read that book when I was teaching third grade to my students. And so it has a special place in my heart just for that fact that was my first kind of classically educated teaching gig. But it's just such a sweet story of forgiveness. What do you say? Forgiveness, restoration, healing. There's so many characters. I can't even tell you. There's just every character has something going on. Yeah. And by the end of the story, you kind of hear how God redeems their story. So, and that's what made me fall in love with the name Annette, because the main character is Annette. Yes. So that one is a great one, but I will say that's a great book about friendship. And I remember when I read it to my kids, I had one in particular going through some friendship troubles, and it's a really great book. So if you have kids struggling with friendship too, it really teaches you how to be a good friend and what to look for in a friend. So that one's a great book.
Yeah.
I love it.
That was a really good one.
That was a lot of books.
That was a lot of books, but
thank y'all for listening to that list, letting me share it.
Now y'all can load your Amazon cards up.
If you're still awake. I do like books like The Grinch Stole Christmas too.
Yes.
Yes.
Honorable mention.
Well, yeah, there's so many great Christmas ones. Okay, so I have a question for y'all.
Okay.
Can I ask y'all a question?
Yes.
Have y'all ever done the wrap the books, wrap a book every day and open for Advent?
Yes.
I think I've done it one time.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, because I think that's such a fun idea too.
I love it, and I want to do it every year, but I always forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So young families should start this tradition really early, because I think it's harder to start new traditions.
Yeah. And I think
when
the
they're
trick
older.
is to, like, I would just go to the library
Yeah.
and get a whole bunch of books from the library. So it's not like you have to
that's a
buy.
good idea.
Yes.
I mean, you could maybe try to buy one a year or something like
Yeah.
that, 2 a year, but it's not that you have to go buy
That's true.
So the
24
library,
books or something.
yes,
Yeah.
the library is your friend.
Yeah.
When my kids were little, I remember going the week before Thanksgiving, before everybody went and got Christmas books, trying
Yeah.
to get trying to get all of my picks in. But I think it would be fun. So even though we're already in December, you could do it for like the 12 days of Christmas
that's
or
true,
something like that. I've always wanted to do it too. I've never done it because we do the Jessie tree. So we kind of have already a countdown thing. But I think when they're little, that's a fun way.
Yeah.
Because I bet all of us, like, some of my favorite memories are sitting snuggled up at Christmas time by the Christmas tree, reading a Christmas book.
Well, and then, like you said too, like your mom reads a particular book
with families in town.
Yeah, it's fun to get them involved too.
Yes.
And have them read whatever the book is that you opened, or have them bring one.
That's right. That's right. And books are great gifts.
They're great gifts.
Yes. And so all of these books that I've shared, I know they're on a Christmas list on Pinterest somewhere.
Yeah.
But, thank you for letting me give you my personal reason why I love them. But, there's so many great options. So I say, just pick some. And even though my kids are now older, every year I always put aside some money and I buy, I add to our Christmas collection because there's so many sweet ones. But if there's new ones that have come out, which I'm sure there are now that now that my kids are older, I don't know so much about brand new ones. Like, we didn't even talk about all the legend of the candy cane.
Oh yeah.
All of those are great too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we won't hold you to just the list that you gave us.
I know. Yes. People do need to move on with their lives.
All right, guys, we've come to the end of our special episode with Jacki. And Jacki, just thanks for being on the podcast with us.
Thank you for having
hanging
me.
out with us and serving us tea in these cute little teacups with the Christmas tree. Y'all, they're so cute. And we hope that you are having a good Christmas holiday, and we will...
Tight.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas.
So, thanks for joining us on this episode, and we will catch you on the next episode.
Merry Christmas. Bye.
Jacki's like, wrap it up. Bye.
Bye.